Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. We have a lot to get into this video, but let me first start off by saying this. I've been getting a ton of comments of people saying you're telling people to not buy stocks and to do this and to do that. Let me just make this very clear so we can get this out the way. I have never in life told anybody to do anything. This is my YouTube channel where I simply share my thoughts on what I believe I'm seeing and in finance, as well as investing in what I personally plan to do. I don't think it's fair to try and say that I'm giving financial advice or doing anything like that just because I talk about some of these people's favorite YouTubers, right? Because at the end of the day, I do not have a Patreon. I do not have a paid short Discord chat. I do not sell courses. I don't have anything like that. So I don't think anything that I say even makes me somewhat come off as some sort of guru or as if I'm giving financial advice. And that's just my opinion. So please stop with that. It's just not true. This is just my opinion. At the end of the day, people could do whatever they want to do. Let me also clarify what I've been doing, because I think people have gotten that misconstrued as well. A lot of people are saying that telling people to hold cash on the sidelines is a bad idea. That's actually not what I said. I've never said that. Actually, if you watch my videos, most of my videos, I have said that I am still buying index funds, which is true. Every time I get paid, every 2 weeks, it goes directly into index funds. As a matter of fact, it's actually on auto. I have it on auto with Fidelity, where they automatically take money out of my account at a certain time and they automatically allocate it to index funds. It's really cool that Fidelity has that option. So I've made this very clear. I have no issue personally with buying index funds in this type of environment. I support DCA into index funds, but my ultimate opinion is that most retail investors and even most professionals in the finance industry suck at stock picking. And so I do not think it's a good idea to be buying stocks right now in this sort of environment. Now, index funds make sense, but my issue is when you tell people it's okay to buy stocks, then they start buying Tattooed Chef and SoFi and DraftKings and I don't know, Smile Direct Club and Robinhood and stuff like that. That's the biggest issue. A lot of people do not know how to determine what an actual good stock is. And like I said, even the pros can't do it. So it's no knock to anybody. I mean, literally the pros aren't even good at stock picking. So that's just my opinion. But let's go ahead and get into the actual meat and potatoes of this video, which is the fact that I believe that peak inflation means nothing. Now, once again, I'm not telling anybody to do anything with their money. This is simply just my opinion. I enjoy talking about finance and investing, and I do a lot of reading, and this is what I personally believe. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I do not think that peak inflation means anything. I think what you're going to want to follow, at least what I'm personally following, is this, right? So it's not about whether inflation actually peaks or not, right? It's really more so about how fast does inflation come down. And I think this is what a lot of people are missing. Even when I'm watching CNBC and Yahoo Finance, a lot of people keep saying, oh, inflation peak, inflation peak. Well, my thing is, what if inflation peaks, but it still remains substantially high for the rest of the year? Well, that's still very bad. It doesn't matter if inflation goes from 8.5% to 8.2%. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to see it come down substantially. I don't care that it can't go any higher. 8% is way too freaking high, right? And that's just my opinion. And so there are some people who believe that the Fed still needs to be even more aggressive in their rate hikes and cut quantitative easing substantially in order to lower inflation. There are some people out there who have been vocal and who have said that. Now, if inflation has peaked, but it's not slowing, that is still a huge problem, and in my opinion will cause markets to tank further. Everything, in my opinion, is kind of centered around the inflation thing. Now, there actually was a very important update that we actually got today, and it was that U.S. households actually increased their spending last month. So the Fed's preferred gauge shows that inflation rose 4.9% year over year in April, in a sign that price increases could be slowing. And let me show you this. The price index measuring personal consumption expenditures, which is called PCE, rose by 6.3% year over year in April. That is a slower pace than in March, which had a reading of 6.6%. Now, here's what I kept trying to say, right? So you had a reading of 6.6% in March. Now you have a reading of 6.3%. I would argue, this is just my opinion. Now, CNBC ran the article that said that shows that inflation is slowing. I actually kind of disagree with that. I mean, it's going down a little bit, but if you want my honest opinion, I mean, I don't know what they mean by slowing. If they mean peaking, then I agree. But if they mean coming down, I do not agree with that. I'm not so sure that we're seeing proof that inflation is coming down yet, but I do think that we're seeing signs that inflation is peaking. I think we saw that in the last CPI print, and I think that we're seeing that right now. But I think what you're really going to want to see is you're going to want to see inflation come down. That's what we want to see, because even though it peaks, it is still too ridiculously high, and it is doing a lot to harm economics and hurt people, right? And so it is important to understand that the PCE is the Federal Reserve's preferred gauge to track inflation. So that's very important. So if you want to figure out, kind of get an idea of what the Federal Reserve is thinking, then you're going to want to look at that PCE report. Let me show you guys something else interesting that I actually saw. So Citibank actually came out with something interesting. Citibank actually downgraded U.S. equities to neutral based on recession risk. This is actually what they said. While a recession is not the base case for Citibank economics, uncertainty is still very high, and the Fed seeming to guide for recession is not reassuring. While typically equities only peak shortly before the start of a recession, this time it may happen earlier than we expected, potentially because we have elements of a deflating bubble. Citibank and others recommended going long healthcare and consumer staples against technology and financials. Okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just to give you guys some more numbers, U.S. personal income in April came at 0.4% versus the expected 0.5%. U.S. personal spending came in April at 0.9% versus expected of 0.7%. Let me just point out a little bit more of what economists are saying. Some economists expect inflation to stay above 5% through the end of the year and are saying that the current pace of interest rate hikes that the Fed is doing would not meet that level. That is very important to keep in mind. So I think we all know what inflation means, right? But what I want to talk about next was stagflation. I feel like not enough people are talking about that. And there is some talk that we could possibly have stagflation during these times, which honestly hasn't been seen since the 1970s. Now, I think we all know what inflation is. So I'm just going to explain stagflation. Stagflation is an economic condition that's caused by a combination of both high inflation, high unemployment, and basically a stagnant economy. So historically, the equities environment during stagflation has been very negative. And when stagflation sets in, consumer spending slows down, higher prices may continue, even when demand slows and you're purchasing fewer goods and services. And this can cause a downward spiral, leading to economic activity slowing even more. And yeah, just wanted to throw that out there because that is honestly what a lot of people think that we're seeing. And to be honest with you, stagflation will be an absolute nightmare, not only for the economy, but for the stock market. And yeah, that was a good, nice little short update I wanted to give you guys. Again, these are just my thoughts. Please, no more of this. You're telling people to do this. You're telling people to do that. I'm not telling people to do anything. I don't have any links. I don't have any courses. I'm just a guy on YouTube giving my opinion on something that I'm passionate about and I love to do because it makes us all money. That's it. So, you know, take this with a grain of salt. Definitely don't be out here listening to any YouTuber, you know, not even me. Just take the pieces of it that you agree with or that you're, you know, use it as a learning experience, right? You know, use that to learn. And yeah, none of this is like advice or anything like that. This is honestly just my opinion, but I think it is opinion that is backed by tons of reading, research, and just a little bit of experience. I mean, obviously I don't have experience with stagflation, but you guys get the point. So anyway, that'll go ahead and conclude today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.